Hello, Vladimir Mayer with you again, and I want to respond to this comment. It will be in the middle of the screen now. I have probably already responded to it more than 100 times in my YouTube activity, but now I decided to make a video and answer in more detail. So, Volodya, you say that the interaction of wort with oxygen leads to vinegar fermentation. And, accordingly, you immediately advise stirring the cap, and when stirring the cap, we come into contact with oxygen. That is, you yourself cause this vinegar image and talk about vinegar wine and that everything will be fine, everything will be wonderful. So, let me explain. The interaction of vinegar bacteria with oxygen in order to begin to oxidize the wort is necessary from 1 hour to 2 hours. And only after 2 hours of interaction of vinegar bacteria, oxygen and wort, the process of oxidation of our wort and the transition of alcohols to vinegar begins. But when stirring the cap, let's go over the timing. How much time does it take to stir the cap in our wort that is fermenting? We take it and open our fermentation vessel. How long is that? Well, let's say 20 seconds. We stir the cap. How long do we stir it? Let's say another 20 seconds. Let's say we have a big cap. We weigh it out for 5 minutes. We stir it. How long do we need to close it? Another 20 seconds. Let's say another minute. Let's do it this way. Open for a minute, stir for 5 minutes, close for a minute. The question arises, Volodya, so now you have oxygen in your fermentation vessel in your wort, interacting with your wort. Everything is much simpler here. Over the course of 20 or 15 or 20 to 30 minutes, the carbon dioxide that forms during active fermentation squeezes out all the remaining oxygen. Thus, we get that the maximum interaction of our wort with oxygen during the mixing of the cap occurs within 25 to 27 minutes. And that's it. During this time, the short vinegar bacteria does not have time to oxidize the wort and the vinegar formation begins. That's the whole answer. Of course, it was possible to say all this in one sentence, but I decided to make a video and answer in more detail in this video. Why do I insist so much on everything being under the law? For experienced wine growers, everything is clear, understandable, everything is clear and understandable. They know that for the first 3 to 5 days of fermentation, you cannot put a water lock, because the pressure that, well, forms carbon dioxide during fermentation, it squeezes out all the oxygen, and no interaction with our wort occurs. But there are times when novice wine growers put the must fermentation in rooms that are very hot during the day and very cold at night, that is, there is no stable temperature. What does this lead to? This leads to the fact that during the day the must ferments, and at night the temperature drops, the fermentation stops, there is no active release of CO2, oxygen gets in. And during those 5 to 6 hours that it ferments without active fermentation, the must bacteria get access to oxygen, oxidizes our must and transfers our wine, our not yet ready must, to the category of vinegar fermentation, and we get vinegar wine. Therefore, only because of this, I advise novice wine growers to put a water seal. It will more or less protect you from vinegar fermentation. Many even make wine without resorting to water seals at all. That is, they place their wort in containers that have, a narrow neck, or they close it tightly with large plastic bags, or in some other way, or they put glass. It limits the access of oxygen. That is, they put the same thing on a bottle of glass under pressure. Carbon dioxide comes out, but oxygen does not come in, because fermentation is taking place in the container and, accordingly, there is carbon dioxide there, pressure is created, oxygen cannot freely get there. But this only applies to experienced wine growers. I tell about my own winemaking to ordinary summer residents who have never made wine, and then decided to make this drink on their own. Well, and in order not to lose their grown crop, so as not to be left with vinegar. Although wine vinegar is also a very good product, and it is quite rare and in demand. But if you wanted to make wine, then let's make wine. My winemaking technologies are described on my YouTube channel. There are videos, there are long videos, there are short videos, but the information in them is information that I have been accumulating for more than 25 years. I use it. And everyone who listened to my advice and made wine without violating the technology, pretty much everyone, almost everyone, gave positive feedback. Well, of course, I am pleased about what they write there. Volodya, I made wine using your technology, it turned out great. Petya came here. I left him, he came to me. Now he will not let me talk. In principle, I have already conveyed all the information that I wanted to convey, I explained. Here are the Magarok citrons. I will collect them, make dry wine from them, I will do it in a crowbar. It's all very simple. I collect them, in no case wash them. I put them under the press. Under the press, accordingly, I take only the juice. I do this in the evening at minimum outdoor temperatures, so that it is as cool as possible. I do not use any persulfites, nothing. I do everything purely with wild yeast. Then we pour in the resulting juice. We strain it from large fractions that get in. I pour it into the fermentation tank, close the lid, put it under a water seal. You know the water seal, I pour either distillate or alcohol, and immediately lower the fermentation into the cellar. The temperature in the cellar is high now, 14 to 16 degrees. And that's it. I don't go near this wine anymore. I just check that the water seal is filled with alcohol and that no fruit flies get in there. I think it's the kind that can lead to vinegar fermentation. Well, and that oxygen, of course, doesn't get in. That's it. And by the new year I have a normal, good, dry wine. Where are you? Let me show you. Petya, wave. Here he came, all the chickens stayed there, and he came here to prevent me from filming the video. Master, and while I'm talking to you, he'll sing, not letting me talk. So, subscribe to our Telegram channel, there are a lot of interesting articles, plus notifications, which YouTube often doesn't give. Put your thumbs up. Thank you and see you soon. Bye. Petya, you're forbidden to be punished.